trying to make decisions on my own with children. A lot of people have thoughts and want to give you information, and you're trying to figure out how to manage it. And so I really took a lot of classes and trained myself on how to make good decisions and then how to live with those decisions. So let's start. It's learning why we've made certain decisions and how we can change those decisions for the benefit of our lives, and at least understand how to move forward in the decision-making process. So making decisions as a widow or as a divorcee or a widower is probably one of the most difficult things you will face. We've been working in partnership with our significant other for 5, 10, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, some of us 40 and 50. So that's a brand new way of living. Now we have to make a lot of decisions on our own. A lot of people don't quite understand who we have become because we don't even know who we've become. And just keep in mind, this is going to be a 2-part series. This first part, we're going to just dive into the decision-making background. And then on part 2, I will be discussing how you can help yourself learn how to make decisions for the future. So a lot of times we feel very emotionally incapable of making decisions at this time. And to be quite honest, we really are, because we've been hit with so many different things. We're not quite sure what to do. It's a very dark time and we're making decisions. We can't see the future. We don't understand the past and we don't quite know how to move forward. And we become we almost isolate in order to figure out how to move forward. We're unfamiliar with this territory because now what do we do if we make a wrong decision? Before, we had somebody to go to and talk with about whatever decisions we were making, even if they're small decisions about going to dinner or what do we do tomorrow or how do we handle the holidays or whatever. So it's a very interesting season. We're unfamiliar with this territory that we're in now. And so when we do make decisions or wrong decisions, what ends up happening is we begin to feel very insecure because we tend to make one poor decision after another. And then in this season, what we're doing is reinforcing bad decision making. So it really affects us emotionally. So a lot of great neurologists and people did some decision making studies. And what they discovered is when our emotions and our feelings are impaired, which is what happens when we're grieving, we have very poor capabilities of decision making. So this kind of strain happens, especially when we have financial decisions to make. This creates a bigger challenge because things end up occurring quickly. And this is why, especially in the class that I teach, newly divorced women or newly widowed, it's very important that we don't make decisions that can impact us for the rest of our lives. And we have a tendency to go out and date. We think we're emotionally ready, and we end up being with somebody that is really not a good fit or the best fit for us, or it can be even harmful because we're not seeing ourselves in an emotionally stable situation. So it's interesting, our minds. And so it's interesting if you really look back even at yourself and you think, have I made a poor decision in the first year? Or did I really take that advice that really the world has given? And that is, don't make a big decision. Don't make a big move. Don't sell your home. Don't start dating until you are emotionally stable. And for some of us who have been single for a long time, like myself, I would have made very poor decisions that first year, but I kept myself grounded and not opening my heart or anything to anybody at that time, or didn't make big decisions during that first year. So I've read it and studied as much as possible to understand decision making and how it impacts us and how it impacts me and how it impacts you. So it's kind of like when you see, if I have the ability, I'll put the screen here, but it's kind of like you see on-ramps and off-ramps and you're looking from the top down and you're not quite sure, do I make a left or right? Do I go south? Do I go north, east, or west? And it's so very difficult. So it's like a lot of freeway ramps, and that's how it feels in our minds and in our hearts when we're trying to make a decision based on not having all the facts. We don't know which off-ramp to take and we don't know which direction to go. And it just looks like something we have no control over. And then what ends up happening is we see fog. We have something called brain fog. This is really a phenomenon that happens. I remember when I first lost my husband, just getting on the freeway and driving, I would start shaking, and then I would actually get off the wrong on-ramp or off-ramp. And so, oh my goodness, I thought something was really wrong with me because my mind wasn't in sync with what was going on. And then, but you have all these emotions, all these things happening at the same time. So I'm just here to encourage you that that is normal if you've experienced that. So we end up, what ends up happening is it can be confusing, and we end up inflating a problem, and we tend to focus on the problem and not understand the solution. We haven't necessarily laid out a path to where it helps us to make a decision during this time of grief and a time of loss. So this can be a real challenge for us, as it was for me. So for me, my tendency was to make decisions while in the dark. Spencer Johnson says in his book, Yes or No, we make decisions that are ineffective based on illusions we believe at the time. So sometimes we can live in an illusion. For example, let's just say you receive a large inheritance. You never think that that money is going to run out. You think in your mind, oh, I know I have $200,000 and I can spend this money. I can go on vacation. I can buy these new things. Never thinking about that decision and the impact it might have on your future. So what we want to do is learn to not live in that illusion. We want to face our reality. We want to embrace our reality of grief and walk it out. And then we want to make sure that we make decisions based on who we were in the past. But something that I learned about myself is it was difficult to face where I was and how I had to move forward. So there was a lot going on that was just very difficult for me. And I remember sometimes as a wife, I'm not saying this was always the case, but in my case it was, we really let go of some of the responsibilities. My husband took care of all the finances. He put gas in my car. I didn't know how to pay a bill online. So some of you actually handle the finances. So you're very aware and capable of doing things. I was not. So we need to learn now to make decisions on our own, and we need to seek help when there's help available. And at this time, we want to start learning to think differently depending on our situation. You could be a young widow. You could be a young divorcee with children. And how are you going to handle that? How are you going to take care of their education? How are you going to move forward? How's the decision-making process? What do you need to go through? So my recommendation, as I mentioned earlier, is don't do anything the first year. Don't make any big decisions the first year. I actually say don't make any decisions in the second year, but sometimes that can't be helped because we might have to move, we might have a job, but you will not be the same person in that second year and even your third year. So I recommend the third year is a good time to make very big decisions because now you have a handle on who you are. You've embraced your new normal. You are now single or the widow, and I know you don't necessarily want to focus on that, but at the same time, that's your reality. So embrace your reality. So I recommend then you can start taking those difficult moments, but you're better in this position in your third year. So here I'm going to show you in this video or this page, here are the arrows when you feel overwhelmed. Look at those. Our decision-making process goes down when we feel very much prepared and we've weighed out options, then our ability to make good decisions goes up. So whenever we have a lot going on or we feel overcommitted or overwhelmed, the arrow goes down and our decisions become impaired. So what you want to do is build clarity. And you do this, when you do this, you're going to start to feel confident in your decision-making skills. So what you want to do is talk about what's your priority. So when you see this slide pop up, you're going to see the bubble, and in the center, this is where your initials are going to go. This can be used for many situations. So you can print out the bubbles and you can write all your decisions down, everything you have to do. It's kind of like a mind storm in business, but this is a brainstorm for your life. So write everything down, all your decisions that you need to make, and don't even think about it. I don't even care if it's going on a trip. Just write it down to help organize your thoughts. And then you see in the sheet that I have prepared here that you're going to have to do things now, things you need to do tomorrow, and things that can be done a year from now. But if you write it down, it really, really helps you. And something that's important right now, especially if you're a new widow, is going to be a funeral or any event that is going to happen in the first 3 to 5 months. So with your CPA, let's talk about that. Things like this that are important. You've got to make a decision on putting those things down and start organizing. And with this method, you'll start to fill up the action item list that I have here. And if you're interested in having something like that, feel free to email me, michelle@niftypackage.co. I would be more than happy to send you these sheets. So what are the things you need to write down to do today? How about tomorrow? This graph was created by Susan Bradley from the Sudden Money Institute. She's got a great book called Sudden Money. And during these difficult times, either as a widow or a divorcee, the other things we tend to do is rehearse the problem. We repeat it over and over again, and then we think about it. We go to bed, we think about it. When we wake up, we think about it. So my recommendation is to do this. Focus on a solution. How can I solve this problem? What can I do? How resourceful am I? And you would be surprised at how resourceful you can become. And when you start becoming resourceful, that helps you with your decision making. If you don't have enough reserves to make a decision right now, yeah, I say that if I don't, personally, Michelle, if I don't, then I think to myself, okay, you have to say no for this decision because I don't have enough information and I don't feel emotionally ready to make the decision. And that's how I handled the first 3 years, because for me, my entire identity was gone. My job, I became an empty nester, or my unpaid job because I was a volunteer. But still, that gave me identity. I was an executive director for a nonprofit, and now I am zero. I don't have a church position anymore. I don't have a nonprofit. My kids are gone, and now I'm trying to figure out life and manage that on my own. So something that helped me learn to make decisions. How can I help you do something quick? Something that helped me was this. Learning to make quick decisions like this. What was I going to wear today? I pulled out an outfit and I kept my word with that outfit. What am I going to have for dinner today? And I kept my word for the day. Tonight, am I going to have salad or do I want to have pasta? And then I would make a decision and stick with it. Make quick decisions, and those will help you in the very small things that are not important. If you do that, that's a great way to do that. And then that helps you prepare your heart and your mind for bigger decisions later. And those things won't affect your life. But the things that will impact your life are those very, very big things that you want to wait on if you don't have to make a decision right away. So let me know if you follow through with some of these. I look forward to talking with you next time. And we're going to actually start talking about dating as a widow, the good, the bad, and the ugly. All right, take care. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.